A lot of music has dropped tonight, but I decided to start off. I'm going to be covering G-Eazy's These Things Happen Too. I've been following G-Eazy for about a few years now, probably since 2014 when the first These Things Happen came out. The big track that I listened to that was I Mean It, which is not really probably the best example of what G-Eazy can do. It's a very lackadaisical song. It does have kind of the charisma that you expect from G-Eazy, and the beat is kind of just kind of low-key. But it brought me into his music, and the past few albums, When It's Dark Out, is kind of more misses than hits with me. The Beautiful and Damned is a major improvement, very consistent, lots of variety, gets in some personal content as well that was kind of touched in When It's Dark Out. And then we've had these mix of EPs where you've had Strange Nights, and also you had this kind of indie alternative rock album, Everything Strange Here, which is probably his weakest work. It's a mix of covers and some original songs. And some of those kind of inspirations from Everything Strange Here does actually appear on These Things Happen Too. And that probably generates the weakest tracks, but I will get to that in a second. Now that we're getting into These Things Happen Too, I think this is probably G-Eazy's best work when it comes to variety, when it comes to production, when it comes to personal content. Especially in the personal content. We get to hear a lot about what G-Eazy's been going through for the past few years. And we also get a good taste of more braggadocious G-Eazy, the charismatic G-Eazy that we expect. We get a good feature list. Mostly everybody delivers. We get an amazing, amazing intro. Probably the best intro G-Eazy has ever had. You get bangers like Instructions. You get bangers like Origami and Solar Eclipse. Now and Later, which is like a West Coast banger. The Bay Area banger. Speed is a great example as well. There's so many banger tracks on this. But mixed in between, you get these nice kind of personal moments, especially Wanna Be Myself and Time, which Time is a continuation of Everything Will Be Okay, where G-Eazy's kind of reflecting back on his life and reflecting and writing down, basically telling a story to the girlfriend that unfortunately passed away on Everything Will Be Okay, basically telling him it's just like, the Golden State Warriors are now the best team. I actually have a career now. I'm blowing up. I'm a huge successful rapper. It's a very heartfelt moment. Wanna Be Myself is incredibly punishing emotionally. It talks about mental health. It talks about Mac Miller, and how much that meant to him. I remember when there was concerts with G-Eazy, and I think it was one video in particular where G-Eazy, as he finished off a concert, just a picture of Mac Miller was on the screen. And offside, he was breaking down. He was emotional. And you get these little moments sprinkled in of when Mac passed, of how it felt to him in this album. And you get even more moments of these kind of contemplation, like on Breakdown. You get it on No More, Running Wild, Time, and even Gerald at the end. It's a nice mix of variety of the bangers, and also we get good personal content. It's not corny, it's not being shoved down your throat either. I don't understand what the connotation is with G-Eazy. I know maybe kind of the front of being so braggadocious and so charismatic, it probably rubs people the wrong way. It probably sounds like a front for something, and it sounds kind of corny to people. But I would seriously encourage you to dive into this album, because you will hear a side of G-Eazy that you would not expect. And it's been like this for a couple of albums, especially when it started with The Beautiful and Damned, where we get a ton of personal content. We get a ton of contemplation. We get a ton of introspection of what G-Eazy goes through mentally. And we also get these amazing come-up stories as well. And I remember it's Easy off of The Beautiful and Damned, where you get this kind of amazing come-up story. And G-Eazy is an incredible storyteller. That's one of like the hidden amazing things about G-Eazy, and you get that in Time, and you get that in Gerald in these two tracks. And G-Eazy's just so versatile on this album, and I am incredibly impressed. It's surprisingly one of the best albums of the year, even though like I am a fan of G-Eazy. I always have this connotation still, or this fear that he's going to drop something that's really inconsistent and bad. This is a completely different story, and I'm so happy for it. Again, the weakest parts is more of the indie alternative cuts, which is Wicked Game and Bad Bad News. G-Eazy is not a great singer. I'm going to say it right now. He is not really a competent singer. This has been going on for a little while, especially when you go back to When It's Dark Out. I think it's Order More when you get like this auto-tune G-Eazy and he's singing in this high tone. It really doesn't work. He is an incredible rapper, and I think I appreciate the experimentation. I understand too that you don't want to be put into a box, and you always want to try new things. I know when I was recording music, I still am. I like to record rap music majorly, but I love recording folk music as well. Whether those sound good or not is a different story, but it's something I enjoy. And I appreciate the experimentation, but it's just not for me. That's really the only two tracks that I really have problems with. The only feature as well that I really kind of think is just not up to par is probably Lil Wayne. Even though he delivers on the hook, which is something you really don't expect from Lil Wayne at this point. I think the verse from Lil Wayne is something kind of by the numbers, something that's kind of thrown in there, even though, again, the hook is good. It really doesn't bring anything new to the table. But overall, I think this album is pretty good. I think it's great. And I think you should really listen to it. And that may be all I'm going to say to this. Don't give scores, of course, but if you're looking for something that is like an emotional roller coaster, if you want something that gives you banging production, crazy good flows, and crazy good charisma, I would say give this album a listen. If you want to dive deeper into the artist, if you want to understand their mental state and what's been going on with their lives and hear a really introspective look, listen to this album. And if you do like the indie alternative hip-hop mix tracks, go listen to it. It's a they're not bad per se, they're just not my thing. So, one of my favorite albums of the year. Go give it a listen. And now I'm going to have to review some more because we have a lot of music coming out. So, this is Sonic Spill once again, and I will catch you in the next video.